Hello and thank you for joining me today. Well, this is the Thursday, September 21st edition of our video devotionals. Thank you so much for joining us today. Hope your Thursday's going well. We call this Trusting Thursday, and hopefully there's been a time you trusted the Lord, and of course we trust Him each day with our lives. So we're going to jump into things kind of quickly today. Just want to say thanks again for all who watch. We've got some newcomers, and then of course we got people who faithfully watch and have for years. Since April 1, 2020. So thank you for that. Of course, we're getting ready to end officially summertime and get into fall. I think officially it's 2:50 in the morning on Saturday, if you want to be very official about it. And then we'll have fall of the year officially. But we're getting there, and I'm looking forward to the cool down. I just love fall of the year. All right, so from our today book, just one thing to give you. It says on September the 21st, 1784, the first United States daily newspaper was published. So that goes back a long time ago. All right, so we're going to be in a book of the Bible one time today, and then we'll be going to another one tomorrow. We're going to be in Joel today, just 3 chapters. We're going to look at chapters 1, verse 14, and chapter 2, verses 12 through 14, and give you something today we think that can be of some help, a challenge, and that's kind of what this is all about. But otherwise, thank you all who watch. And if you think this can be of some help to somebody, then share it, and that'd be great. All right, so the book of Joel, here's the time period I just want to give you. Sometimes you wonder when were these things, what's the time period, all right? Think about it like this. King Saul, King David, that era was about 1,000 years before the birth of Christ. So we're just going to round it to 1,000 years, okay? And so we're talking about the beginning of the kings, all right? Then there's a time period in which, of course, many of these prophets speak about God's judgment upon the country. Officially in 588 BC was when Jerusalem fell to Nebuchadnezzar, and that's when the official end of all the country, all the nation was done. So we're going to round that to 600, all right, 600 years before the birth of Christ. So approximately about 400 years of kings, and from King Saul and David, that era, until the time that Nebuchadnezzar basically took many of the people 500 miles east into Babylon, that deporting them there, and then leaving the very poorest of the people in the land. Jeremiah was kind of their prophet. Ezekiel was the prophet in the land of Babylon. So when was Joel a prophet? He was about 800 years before the birth of Christ, so almost about halfway between King Saul, King David's era, and the fall of the country. So he didn't live during the time when he saw great prosperity. He didn't live when there was the destruction, but there was a decline happening, of course. And there's this judgment that's going on here. So we're going to jump into verse 14 of chapter 1. Here's what it says. Sanctify ye a fast. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is fasting. Sanctify ye a fast. Set apart a time for fasting is what it's saying. Call a solemn assembly, gather the elders and all the inhabitants of the land into the house of the Lord your God, and cry unto the Lord. So he's talking about this pleading for the land, pleading for the people. All right. Go to chapter 2, notice verse 12. Therefore also now saith the Lord, turn ye even to me with all your heart, and with fasting, and with weeping, and with mourning, and rend your heart and not your garments, and turn unto the Lord your God, for he is gracious and merciful, slow to anger, and of great kindness, and repenteth him of the evil. Who knoweth if he will return and repent, and leave a blessing behind him, even a meat offering and a drink offering unto the Lord your God. So I just want to talk a moment here about this idea of fasting. As a rule, we think of fasting as taking a time to not eat a normal meal or maybe a day. I have fasted before, where I would eat the night before and then get up the next morning and not eat the breakfast, not eat the lunch, not eat the supper or the dinner, and then go to bed, and then the next day I would eat. So basically a day of fasting. There's been times I have fasted a meal, all right, maybe the breakfast or the lunch or something like that. There's been times I have not got up that morning, didn't eat the breakfast, didn't eat the lunch, and I would wait until what we would call supper time that evening to eat and just take a time of fasting. The idea of fasting, of course, is to refrain from, but to have a mindset of prayer and going to God, having that mindset. And that's kind of what's being spoken of here. And so I'm saying it's something that I believe is very important to do. The Lord spoke about one day when he and three of the disciples had went up to what we call the Mount, or is called the Mount of Transfiguration, in which the Lord is up there, and so the other apostles are down at the base of the mountain, so to speak. And they brought to these apostles, or at least to some of them, and said, "Look, I've got my son here. He's in bad shape. Can you help us out here?" And they couldn't cast the demon out. They couldn't help him. Jesus comes down. There's this conversation between, I think, the Father and the Son that's got this issue. And he looks at his disciples and basically says, "Look, this is a lack of faith, a lack of being in touch with God." He says, "This cometh not but by prayer and fasting." So the time of prayer and fasting got together, so you can see some things happen. So I'm just encouraging you out there. All of us have needs. We have people in our family. We have personal needs. Our churches, our country. Is there a time that you could fast? Take some time of fasting for situations and ask the Lord, because if you're refraining from the eating, maybe refraining from television programming for a moment of time or some time. Perhaps getting off of your smartphone. Many of us get on there and we just get on our social media. We look up things. Maybe just say, "Lord, you know what? I'm going to fast for an hour or two," and just take that time to think about or pray about some needs of people, some needs of our country, the needs of our church. God, that you would bless us. It says in verse 14, "Who knoweth if he will return and repent and leave a blessing behind him?" We all want to be blessed. We all want the Lord to help us. But certainly we don't want the conditions in which God's having to withhold the blessing and withhold that because of us being in a position in which we need to get right with him ourselves, or our families, our church, our nation. So I'm just encouraging you to take some time of fasting, and you know what you can do, and ask the Lord to help situations, some people, the nation, whatever it might be. Okay, think about that, and I believe you can see the Lord do some wonderful things because of it, and I know it's biblical, it's right, and something you personally can go to the Lord about and to see what you can do in that area of fasting. Okay, all right, we're going to stop right there. Hope you have a great day, and be safe, be healthy, and Lord willing, we'll see you tomorrow on Faithful Fridays. We'll end another work week and get ready to end summer officially and begin officially fall. All right, have a great day.